All right. We got everybody. I'm trying to get through this. Hopefully Sam will stay online and keep coaching me. Is everybody logged in for tonight?
Yep, everybody. I see 10 people logged in.
And I know you guys mostly are used to doing this muted. I need you guys to unmute yourselves because I'm not going to sit here and talk to the screen. Okay, I want to hear someone say, "Hey, hold on, I don't get it. I want some input." Because what we got to cover is something that you guys won't get to use as much as we would think you would, but it's one of those when shit hits the fan, and you're going to need to use the MCI and start an incident command. This is what's going to help you get through everything. So we're going to start with the incident command and triage. As you guys have done before, there's chapter objectives and the key terms and how they're marked. I'm going through this. Hopefully you guys have all read this. I'm just going to really hit what incident command system is. There are some primary responsibilities. There's 5 functional areas that you guys will never, ever in your lifetime have to field. Unless one of you guys decides that you're going to start buying medical supplies for a wildland fire that broke out at the ski resort. The ID demonstrate how to use the SALT triage, START triage. It's mnemonics, people. The 32 can do is the one I'm gonna really start and stress and get through, because it's of all the systems that we've gone through, that is actually the one that's the easiest and the quickest to use. Chain of command that talks about their in the ICS format. A lot of this stuff is what you're probably gonna see on the test, and I would tell you to study those terms just for that. Know the difference between a strike force and a task force. Again, for the test. So, chapter overview of this is emergencies can happen at any time, and it comes at a variety of circumstances. It could be, if you saw the news today, they had at the ski resort, and I don't know if anybody knows, they could pipe in. They had a kid decided to go underneath the bar, the safety bar, and now he's stuck and he's hanging from the chair, and the patrol had to respond. They did the old-fashioned fireman's net, pulled out some blankets, held him, and then he dropped into the net. So that's a unique challenge, a unique situation that we've actually had that up at our resort. So patrollers are used the fairly mandated National Incident Management System. It's called NIMS. It's a standardized framework to respond to and manage emergencies and situations involving multiple jurisdictions. So up on the hill, what are the multiple jurisdictions that we fall into, or what? Does anybody have an idea?
Mommy.
So we have us, right? The resort itself. Then we also have forestry. We have Clark County Fire. We have Flight for Life. We have Metro. We have Metro Search and Rescue. We have the Forestry Division. All of those entities have authority and responsibilities, and we use the National Incident Management System to be able to talk the same language and set up a system where we know who's responsible for what and who's in charge of what. It was established after the 9/11. one of the things that happened after 9/11 is we developed an entire new branch of government. Homeland Security didn't exist until 9/11. After that, President Bush and Washington constructed Homeland Security, which now takes care of domestic and foreign threats. It's an all-hazard model for incident management. It can be something as basic as a single skier down, where you keep it small and simple, or as the incident grows, you build the system up. An incident is defined as anything out of the ordinary day-to-day activities that necessitates a response. So anything that we respond to up on the mountain, mostly medical emergencies, but also search and rescue missions. Natural disaster for us is going to be what?
Earthquake.
How about avalanche? I'm thinking more of the mountains, okay? And unfortunately, the way the climate is out there, we see more and more people that look for areas of crowds that gives them an opportunity to hurt a large amount of people. So it's federally mandated, extends to ski and bike patrols, EOC technicians, may be called upon to take a lead in managing incident involvement in external public safety organizations, assist other public safety agencies during an incident. So for us, the big one is, if you guys know anything about our mountain, we had a tragic incident many years ago, an avalanche. We lost a young man. A boy was taken off the lift during the avalanche, and that required a response of not just of the patrollers, but it also incorporated Metro Search and Rescue came up. And so that in that situation is where we're going to see a lot of this interface, Metro Search and Rescue, because since that time, they realized how underprepared they were to respond up there. And the training that they got afterwards, they put a lot of their people through the avalanche training now that some of you guys, if anybody's gone through the avalanche training, you know how physically taxing it can be, how freaking cold you can get. And these guys were coming up from the valley in their squad boots and green overalls, thinking that they were going to spend 8 hours trucking through the snow looking for a body. Temperatures got down in the 20s that night. It was not an experience for them. And the sad thing is, it was a public relations nightmare for everybody. So when we talk about the management system, the terminology is chain of command. It's a rank structure for management. So on the fire department where we use this, a firefighter responds to a captain, one captain in particular, okay? That captain in turn responds to battalion chief, one battalion chief in particular. The battalion chief responds to a deputy chief, assistant chief, and then the fire chief. And then when shit rolls down, it rolls down just like that. A firefighter doesn't step outside the lines and go, hey, battalion chief Washington, I got a problem. Can you deal with it? Okay. The chain of command is you report to one individual. On the mountain, it's kind of hard because we don't have a rank. Okay. So as patrollers, we're all on the same level. We have a patrol leader. That's who we should be funneling all of our questions to. And we should be looking at the patrol leader for, if you're on Bluebird or Sherwood, whoever the patrol leader is for that, the slope leader is for that day. If you have a problem, that's who you need to go to, your slope leader. And then in turn, your slope leader will contact the patrol leader. Okay. Span of control, it used to be a number between 5 and 7 people that you could effectively manage. But as time has gone by and we've gotten into a span of control of being able to manage not just the incident, but the people that run the incident, it's dwarfed into, if you can handle managing 10 divisions and keep that all straight, then managing 10 divisions is good for you. Break that down into, if you're capable of managing 10 patrollers, keeping track of 10 patrollers and what they need to do and the tasks that they need to accomplish, then that's your span of control. For most people, 5 is about where you want to be. You can usually control 5 people with pretty much ease without getting lost of after that. And with us, it's mostly just names. I'm naming you. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to do this. Personal accountability system, we don't have one up there. That is nothing more than a roster. So in the morning, your personal accountability system is the roster of who's on duty that day up in the hill. Resource management includes mutual aid agreements. Again, that's something that steps outside of what you guys really need to know about. The MACs, process of managing incident with multiple agencies, have different command structures, communication. Again, a lot of this stuff, we're not dealing with it, guys, because you're not going to deal with it, okay? And just know it for the purpose of a test. So this is the basic ICS structure, 5 functional areas. At the top, and it always starts with command, okay? After command, command has 4 functional areas. Operations, which is how we're dealing with the incident, who we have assigned to deal with the actual hazard, the incident. Planning, logistics, and financing. Financing is just that. It's the money. Incidents cost money. Logistics, that's UPS. What can Brown do for you today? That person's in charge of getting things to and from the incident. Planning, again, is something that that's the guy who's sitting there with planning out in detail what's going to happen. Incident command is the first established by any incident and is managed by the incident commander. This is you guys, okay? I know it's a big title, incident commander, but when you're in dispatch and I've got a skier down on Tower 10, possible fractured leg, I need someone to respond, okay? First person on scene, okay? Rizzo's on scene, guess what? I am basically the incident commander, okay? I arrive on scene. I give my information to dispatch, let them know, hey, this is Rizzo. I'm on scene. I'm at Tower 10. I have a male, conscious and alert, complaining of lower leg pain. Advise on needs and further. You've just established that you're the incident commander. You've just established that you're in command. You give them the information they need, and you've started the ICS. The big thing is you're providing the leadership, okay? You're the guy, you're the person that's in charge of everybody else that's going to show up. Because you're the first one there. You have the best idea of what's going on and the resources that you need. And now your best thing to do is point, okay? As this starts to expand, the more you can point and tell other people what you need done and give them an assignment, the easier this flows for you, okay? ICS establishes the incident command post. You want to have a base of operation. In our scenario, Tower 10 is where the base operation is. If this were to expand out, if we had something much larger, okay, we might set up command at FAR, and everything comes out of FAR. Or we might set this up at the top of Sherwood, at the slope shack, okay? Again, go through these terms and know what they are. You're not going to be in charge. You're not going to be a section chief, okay? So in operations, that's the nuts and bolts of what we're going to do. We work in operations, okay? Patrollers work in operations. Firefighters, cops, medical crews, they work in operations, okay? We're the nuts and bolts. We're the backbone, okay? We're the hands-on people. That's what operation is. Within an operational, you'll have a strike team, which is a group of resources of the same type and size. So a strike team could be 5 patrollers, okay? Making it simpler, 5 patrollers on skis is a strike team of ski patrollers. 5 snowboard patrollers is a board patrol team, strike team. Does that make sense? Yes, no, you're full of shit. Somebody.
Yes.
Okay.
Looking good.
Okay. So always remember, a strike team is the same number, and they're the same type. Task force is a combination. So if I put together a bunch of skiers and a bunch of boarders, okay, and I got five, I got 3 skiers and 2 boarders, okay, that's a task force. I took 2 different resources, I put them together, and then that's a task force. I'm gonna put them on task, okay? Their task might be, I need you to set up a perimeter. That's what so I've assigned a task force, set up a perimeter. So again, for the testing, understand what the difference is. Anybody looking at this slide see anything that they would be ready to do as a planning section in the incident command? The only thing that would be the maintain incident records and documentation, which would be report writing. So if we needed to, we could assign somebody to start doing the report writing, taking down notes. Logistics, again, acquiring resources, supplies. You're not going to need to know any of that. So, I got it right here. So if we were gonna do an incident command, okay, and we're gonna do this based on the MCI, which is what we're getting into. And with the MCI, I don't have a good slide, but if you can see this, can I take a mental note and I'm gonna pull it back? I apologize. So with the MCI, it usually starts with the incident commander as the first patroller on scene will set it up, okay? And as he starts to set it up, there's 3 things you need to take care of in the MCI. There's triage, right? That's sorting out the patients. There's treatment, that's taking care of the patients. And there's transport, getting them off the hill and down to the hospitals. So when you set up this ICS, this MCI ICS, we would be assigned an EMS branch, and then you would have your triage, treatment, and transport. And then underneath from that, you would branch those out and you would make those assignments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to visualize this. One of the fun things that we would do on the Hill Refresher, and which we didn't get to do this year, is we actually set this up on the hill where we simulate an avalanche. And in that avalanche, one of the things that you're going to have to do is set up a triage and start triaging your patients. And then from there, you need to move those patients from the hill, down to far, and you need to categorize them. So just remember with the ICS that when you respond on scene, that you establish yourself as in control and in command, okay? And then as your needs start to grow, if you can handle it by yourself, then you don't need to make any assignments. You're your own person. You're handling the scene your own. But and I'm sorry, I can't see everybody's name. So someone shout out a name.
Kelly.
Who?
Kelly.
Kelly. Oh, so okay. So Kelly arrives on scene. She's in command. She says, I show up with the toboggan, and Kelly will tell me, Tony, I've got a skier. He's got a leg injury. You brought down my splint. Thank you. Let's get him the splint on. And she's giving me commands. And then as another patroller shows up, same thing. Hey, I need you. Rizzo's doing this. I need you to set the toboggan up, right? And if another patrol, hey, I need somebody, we didn't take care of above the hill above us. I need you to set up a perimeter above the hill. So you guys see how we start off with one person and then we start to build out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's an inverted pyramid because you start with the person in command. And then as you start as the incident starts to grow below you, it starts pushing you up. And you just keep, as you keep going higher, you just keep pushing things out below you, pushing people down below. So triage. So a triage is anytime you have more than you can handle. So if I have 2 patients, can you handle 2 patients?
Not successfully.
Based on what?
Well, if they need, like, if they're both bleeding out, I mean, you obviously you need pressure and you need help.
So so an MCI can be 2 patients, okay? Because 1, I'm one person, and 2, I don't have the resources or the ability to take care of 2 patients, okay? So don't always get caught up in an MCI is 25, 35, 50, 100 people, okay? There's going to be times where you have 2, maybe 3 patients and you're overwhelmed, and to you that's going to be an MCI, okay? For most of the seasoned patrollers, handling 2 patients by themselves is pretty easy, okay? And as you get more seasoned and you run more calls and you get more experience, you'll see that. But that's the big thing I want you to remember is it's an incident involving 2 or more patients in which the patients exceeds the capability of the available resources. It's more than I can handle with what I got. Triage is a process of prioritizing, picking and choosing whose injuries are severe, that they're life-threatening, and they're going to die. You're survivable, and you're dead. Okay, this is one of those few times that you're going to be making life and death decisions that you're going to want to err on the side of life, but at the same time, you're taking a chance of killing somebody else. Okay, so the big thing to keep in the back of your head is do the most good for the most people. It's a systematic approach. It takes the more dilemma out of your hand of who should live and who shouldn't, okay? So there's 4 common triage categories, okay? Immediate is red, delayed is yellow, minimal is green, black is dead. They use the word expectant, but that's dead, okay? There's different systems, SALT and START. They both use, they're both taught in OEC. They're both use the ICS. They both use triage tags. And it's one of those, hey, who can make money off of what system? You know, there's the SALT system has their tags. The SMART system has their tags. You get into the whole MCI bags, there's ribbons. SALT triage, highly recommended by EMS agencies in the United States. Sort, assess, life-saving interventions, treatment, and or transport. That's what the acronym is. Know that for your test, okay? So, war story. Brand new captain, we get dispatched, we get put into a MCI training scenario down at the Fashion Show Mall. This was right after 9/11. The scenario is they've had 2 backpacks inside the mall that have gone off. They have 100 to almost 200 volunteers set up, moulage, everything. We have buses set up, everything. I get assigned to be the first person on scene. I come in from a different direction, which they thought I would come in directly into the mall, but I came in from a different direction. And the first thing I did was I got on the PA system of my engine and I said, if you can walk and you can understand my voice, I want you to walk over to, and if you know where the Meadows Mall is, where the Sears entrance is, this is where we're at. I said, start walking to the YMCA. I cleared the entire mall in 2 minutes and they had to stop the drill because they weren't expecting somebody to do that. That's the first thing you guys do on an MCI, no matter how big or small it is. If you can hear me and you can understand me, I want you to stand up and I want you to walk and give them a place to walk to. That'll sort out all your walking wounded. You'll get all the people that you need away from the situation and then assign somebody. And if it's the first person that walks past you, say, hey, what's your name? Busby? Busby, I'm going to put you in charge. I want you to go over here and I want you to have people keep coming over there till they get to you. And as soon as I get a patroller to you, I'm going to send a patroller over there. That's the first thing you do to sort people. If you can hear my voice and you're able to move, come over here. Those that don't move are considered to have either a serious or life-threatening injury. Okay? So we're going to assess each patient that's left behind. We're going to determine who needs immediate interventions and who's going to wait. So when we're triaging people, we're looking for life-threatening problems. If they're bleeding, we're going to take their hand, and if they can control the pressure, we're going to put it on them. And we're going to tag them as they need to go now or they can wait. Okay? It's not one of these, we're going to sit there and we're going to do a head-to-toe assessment. We're going to bandage up their wound, and we're going to sit with them. Okay? You're going to control major bleeding by using a tourniquet. All right, if they can hold pressure themselves, they're going to hold pressure. You're not. If they don't have an airway, you're going to open their airway, but that's all you're going to do. Head tilt, that's it. If you come upon them and they're not breathing, you adjust their airway and they're not breathing, they're done. Okay? We're not doing mouth to mouth. We're not doing bag. We're not doing chest compressions. Nothing. We're moving on. After we've sorted everybody, after we've tagged people, that's start, okay? The ones that have the life-threatening injuries that we feel that their survival is imperative that they get transported in the next hour. Those are the ones we want to get out first. Anything after that is wait. We'll find a way. We'll get to you. So this is the SALT triage progression. Step 1 is the sorting, the global sorting. Walk. Do they have purposeful movement? They can wave. They're just sitting still. There's something, obviously there's something wrong. Can I control the major hemorrhaging? Can I open an airway? Do they need chest compressions, auto eject antidotes? If they're breathing, can they obey commands, purposeful movement? All this seems pretty confusing, right? So how we get through this, and I'm going to scoot through it. This is the best one. This is what we use. This is what we reinforce. 32 can do. It's easy way to remember. Start. First things are respirations, 30 a minute. If their respirations are greater than 30 a minute, okay, they're compromised somehow. They need to be, boom, they're immediate, okay? Capillary refill, 2 seconds or longer, or you can't feel a radial pulse, but they open up their eyes and they show expressions, okay? That's immediate. Can they follow simple commands? What do we ask to assess somebody's level of consciousness?
AVPU.
What?
The AVPU.
What do we ask them? Come on.
What's your
Person,
name?
place. How are you? Who are you? Person, place, and event.
There you go. Person, place, events. Do you remember what happened? What's your name? Do you know where you're at? Do you know what happened? If they can tell you those 3 things, okay, they don't meet the criteria. But if they can't tell you their name, if they can't tell you where they're at, and they can't tell you what happened, they're immediate. So we're not spending a whole lot of time of assessing somebody. It's 30 respirations, greater than 2-second capillary refill, and can they follow easy command? Do they have a mental capability of, they know what happened, who they are? It's a dynamic process. It's constantly evolving. Once you triage somebody on the mountain, and we've divided them into groups, okay? Somebody that's in the critical immediate group, they might have died waiting for transport. We now take them out. They're in the freaking deceased group, okay? Somebody that's in the delayed group, we've been keeping an eye on them. We start to notice that, you know what? Now they're starting to have shortness of breath. Their respirations are great. Now we move them up. Same way with a walking wounded, okay? They might have an injury that's starting to worsen. So whatever area that you're in, we're constantly reassessing our patients. So how many respirations? What's the respiration rate that we're concerned about?
30.
About 30.
30. What's the perfusion? How do we base our perfusion?
Capillary refill.
Capillary refill. Pulse or no pulse, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because we're up on the mountain, it's cold, so we might have some delayed refill to begin with. But if we got a carotid pulse, we're good, right?
Yeah.
If we got a radial pulse, we're good, right? All right. Let's see how you guys do. And mental status. I got a 44-year-old male, no visible wounds, no respirations on arrival, no restraint, no respirations after adjustment of airway, no radial pulse, unconscious, unresponsive.
Black tag.
Dead. Thank you.
Black.
Black. 50-year-old female, bruise on forehead, blood in her ears. She's got a respiration rate of 20. She has a capillary refill of 1 second, she doesn't respond to verbal commands.
Yellow.
Immediate.
With red.
Immediate. Why?
Because she has a suspected TBI.
All right. How about the fact that she doesn't respond? She's unconscious. See what I'm saying? Make it simple. Don't get sucked into the bruised forehead and the blood in her ears. We know that's indicative of what?
Concussion.
A concussion, a head injury, right? Fractured skull, basal, right? When we have blood in the ears, yellowish fluid in the ears, we suspect that there's a fractured skull. The big thing is that they're unconscious, okay? 33-year-old male, amputated left arm. Bleeding is controlled. Respirations are 16, and they have a capillary refill of less than a second. And he is awake and talking to you.
Delayed. We're going to go immediate on him.
Ooh.
Yellow.
Who said immediate?
I did.
Why?
Amputation, obviously. Well, the bleeding is under control, but he still did lose a lot of blood.
And who said delayed? Who said delayed?
I did.
Okay. Why?
Because he's responsive, and it's the bleeding is controlled right now.
You are correct. Don't get sucked in because he's got an amputated left arm. This is one of those that we need to keep an eye on, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, we need to keep an eye on this person. But his left arm's amputated. Bleeding was controlled by a tourniquet. What's one of the first things that the body does when you lose an arm or a leg or a finger?
Shock.
It shunts, right? You get constriction of everything where that injury took place. The body tries to protect that area, so it shunts it down, right? So you're going to get, we've got controlled bleeding. That's one of those, hey, they're delayed, but if we can throw them if we can get them going faster, we do that. What's one of the things that we want to do with this person?
Keep them warm.
Keep them warm. What else? He's missing an arm. You want to look for the arm. Okay.
Oh.
So remember, with an amputation, we want, if we can find the body part and ship it with them, we want to do that, okay? I got a 40-year-old male, large head wound, brain showing with brain matter, no respirations, nothing after you have adjusted his airway, unconscious, and pulseless.
Dead.
Black.
Dead.
32-year-old female walking around in circles. Respirations are 14. She's got a strong radial pulse, but she keeps asking what happened.
Immediate.
Immediate? Why?
Probably because of a brain injury.
Okay. Probably because, or
Because of.
there you go. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna get to you guys where you stand up for what you believe in. Okay. Don't let some bully like me talk you out of something if you believe in it. Okay. She's walking around. She keeps repeating, "What happened? What happened? What happened?" Is that altered mental status?
Yes.
Yes. So when someone says, "Why are you got a red tag on her?" It's like, because the girl don't know where she's at and what she's doing. She's going now. I'm in charge. Remember that. 67-year-old female with a sucking chest wound. Respirations are 40. She's got a strained radial pulse. She's unconscious.
Immediate.
Immediate.
Red.
Okay. We gotta find. Where's the one I owes? 22-year-old male, no apparent injuries. Respirations are 16. Capillary refill is 1 second, and he's awake.
Minimal.
He's our walking wounded. Wait. 65-year-old male, chest pain, shortness of breath. Respirations are 24. He's got a capillary refill of 1 second. He's awake and conscious.
Minimal.
Minimal. Who said that?
I did.
What's your name?
Abby,
Okay, Abby, why?
because he is breathing and talking, but it could become immediate because you said chest pain, so he's going to need to be.
Good. This is one of those guys that falls on the fence. 65-year-old male. Most 65-year-old males who are up at a ski resort skiing, they're in pretty good condition, right?
Oh,
I hope.
You hope.
So,
We hope.
well, I hope. Okay, let's. But so now, so this is where you might start. You might want to err on the other side of making him immediate because of his age. Find out, does he have a history? Okay. Do you have a history of angina? Do you have a history of heart problems? Is this similar or something worse? You know, this is one of those you might take an extra second to ask another question or two to whether he wants to be immediate. 42-year-old male, femur fracture, open, respirations are 32. He's got an absent radial pulse. He's awake and alert.
immediate.
Immediate. Why?
Bleed out.
Femur fractures are a big deal.
Okay. So he's got an open femur fracture. The big thing, though, is he's got an absent radial pulse and his respirations are 32. So what is that?
Elevated breathing.
So what's our body do during shock when it starts to go into hypovolemic shock?
He's in shock.
Well, so let's
Compensating for the blood loss.
exactly. Thank you. So the word shock gets thrown around a lot because of TV, right? Oh, he's going into shock, okay? Or she's in shock, okay? Remember, the body has a definite response to shock, okay? The body wants to protect itself from the injury. So it's going to compensate. So for a while there, you're going to have an increased heart rate. You're going to have vasoconstriction, which is going to help boost up your blood pressure, okay? Your respirations are going to show a little bit of uptake because you're having an oxygen increase because your heart rate's gone up and your blood pressure has started to elevate. You're going to see a mild increase of those things, right? That's called what?
Compensation.
Compensated shock, okay? So your body's compensated. Once your body gets to that point where it can't compensate, that's when you start to spiral down. That's when your blood pressure drops. That's when your heart rate goes through the roof, right? Because the vessel's got a hole in it. The pump is pumping its ass off, and it's not going anywhere. That's where you start to, you're breathing because you got the reduced oxygen because it's not getting delivered, and you start to sweat like a pig. Okay? Those are, did I give you a good visual? So don't get tied up into, the word shock. Understand what it means and what happens. I got a 12-year-old with a facial injury. Respiratory rate's 44. He's got a cap refill of 1 second, and he's awake.
Immediate.
Immediate. What's the respiratory rate for a 12-year-old? Come on, somebody. Even if you got to look in a book, I can't see.
Still less than 44.
Anybody can tell me what the respiratory rate for a 12-year-old? I'm going to make sure that's on the test now. All right, so going through these case studies, you apply the same thing to it, okay? Mental status, respiratory rate, capillary refill. That's all triaging is going to be.
15 to
All right.
30.
What's that?
15 to 30.
15 to 30, okay? So All right. Why don't you guys go take a break? I'll see if I can get the next slides up, and we'll go through that. Any questions on ICS and MCI? This is honestly, like everything else that you guys do, this makes more sense when you're actually doing it, okay? And you can see it. It'll make more sense to you. But the big thing I want you guys to really understand is that when you're patrolling on the mountain and you respond to an incident, okay, and you're first on scene, you're in charge, okay? It doesn't go based on seniority. We don't sit there and wait till the most senior patroller that's there that day to show up on scene and start making decisions for everybody. If it's your very first day on the mountain and you get dispatched to a call, you're in charge. Now, if somebody comes up and has a little bit more experience and you want to, hey, I need a little help on this, okay? Don't let your ego get in the way. It's very easy to say, hey, what do you think? Can you give me a hand on this one? You know, most of the senior patrollers are going to let you learn. That's what we want you to do. Okay. I've done this stuff. I'm to the point I don't want to help people no more. All right. Sounds awful to say, but I'd rather watch you guys take what you're learning and get confident with it to where, you know what, you're at ease with it, because it's a stressful situation. That person's in pain and in need, and they're looking at you, and they can get very stressful, and you can get flustered really fast, okay? So, again, be prepared to be in charge. Ask for help when you need it, okay? Go take a break, and let's see if I can screw this up some more. Special operations and operations. If you thought ICS had some things to do with you, a lot of this has nothing to do with you. But it's part of the curriculum. We got to do it. With that said, have you gone over radios and all that, radio communications?
No.
Okay, so with the ICS, right, you being in charge, always remember when you operate the radio, it's, hey, you, it's me, okay? So whenever you're talking on the radio, it's, hey, you's who you're talking to. Dispatch, this is Rizzo. Or Dean, this is Rizzo. Or Rizzo, this is Dean, okay? It's always going to be, hey, you, it's me. On the mountain, we use first names for one another because we don't have a rank and a system file up there, right? When you're using the radios, it's for meaningful, purposeful communications. It's not, hey, Dean, it's Rizzo. Hey, I'm going to go grab lunch. You want to meet me down at Bighorn? What do you want? Okay. It's not texting. Okay. It's not, it's not for personal. We want meaningful information because you're not the only ones that hear what's going on the radios, okay? So when you speak, keep it simple, keep it stupid, okay? If a 4-year-old can understand what you're saying, then a 40-year-old can understand what you're saying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Don't use fancy words, which I'm trying to get to. If you have someone with a cut finger, they have a cut finger, okay? You don't throw some big Latin word in there. Keep it simple, stupid, okay? The other thing is when you respond to the scene, okay, when you get dispatched, dispatch to top of Sherwood, I have a report of a skier down Tower 10. Do you copy? Dispatch, top of Sherwood, we copy, sending out a patroller, okay? Dispatch, Rizzo out the door. I arrive on scene. First thing I'm going to say, dispatch, this is Rizzo. Next thing I'm going to say is where I'm at. I'm at Tower 10, skiers left. Give them exact location. Then I'm going to tell them what I have. I've got single skier, male, conscious alert, possible leg fracture. Then I'm going to tell what I need. I need another patroller with a toboggan, trauma pack, and leg splint. Okay? After that, any other information that you need to go back and forth is as needed. But write that down. Who you are, where you're at, what you have, and what you need. Those are the things that you need to get across on all your responses when you communicate to dispatch or other patrollers when you're responding to an incident. Okay? All right, let's get through this. Oh, you guys already know that. These are the objectives. You can list those.
That's Whopper.
Haswapper. Scary word, huh? We'll get to that. Go over the words that make up the term Haswapper. It's a big fancy word. It's an acronym. FEMA, military, fire departments, they love acronyms.
So does the school district.
Yeah, that's another. So, key terms. These are the ones, these you're going to need to know for your test. CBRN will probably be on there. We'll go over what a cold zone is. Haswapper. We'll talk about the difference between a high angle versus a low angle rescue, but it's, again, things that you'd have to be concerned about is understanding what a cold zone is, the warm zone, the hot zone. Everything else is more or less just have to give it to you. Special operations define as infrequently performed activities requiring special education equipment in remote and difficult settings. We have an avalanche team, right? They deal with the howitzer cannon. They deal with munitions, okay? They are one of the few special operations that we have up on the hill. Paid patrollers. They're the only ones that are allowed to do ski lift operations, rescue operations, okay? They're the only ones that can throw on the meat hooks and climb up a tower, set a line, and rescue somebody from the chair, okay? That's, before it used to be, we were all trained to that. Now it's, I guess because of liability, they just want the paid guys to do that. Those are special operations. Other special operations that you might come into, search and rescue from Metro. If we get into that biking program during the summer, we might get, in the summer months, you might see the technical rescue teams from the city of Las Vegas come up there. I've gone up as far as the main lodge on Mount Charleston side for vehicle extrications. So, but very, very seldom and few times will you actually deal with any special operation groups. As with anything, with the environment that you guys are working in, if you can go to a rope rescue class, nothing fancy or major, but if you're interested in climbing, rappelling, stuff like that, I encourage you to go to rope rescue class. The things that you learn, and it expands your education. It'll help you up on the mountain. Disaster response. Again, what's a disaster we worry about up on the hill?
Avalanche.
Avalanche. Extrication. When would we see an extrication? Anybody?
Maybe during an avalanche.
So if you're remove somebody out of the snow, that's called an extrication, yeah. But also because we have a parking lot and we have a bar and we have some treacherous driving leaving the resort, you may be needed in the close proximity of the lifts to respond to a traffic accident. So just being able to use basic tools. We don't have hydraulic spreaders or cutters up there, but we do have pry bars and crowbars and things. The biggest thing to learn is try before you pry. I have pulled up on traffic accidents where the whole driver's side of the car is just completely demolished, and they're all over there focusing on the driver and how they're going to get the door open. And I walk over to the passenger side, back seat, open the door and get in. Try the doors, you know, whatever you're trying to do before you put mechanical advantage to it, just try and see if it'll open with good old, you know, muscle. MCIs, using local resources. Anything beyond that, we're looking at something that's beyond our jurisdiction. We're going to be more or less the worker bees in the cog, so you don't have to really worry about any of that. Disasters are typically grouped into two categories. You have natural disaster. Again, with us, it's avalanches during the summer months up there. We have to worry about wildland fires now. We've had some major floods up there that have wiped out areas of it. And then, of course, there's the human-caused disasters. Some of them are unintentional. A lot of the major wildland fires this year were unintentional as a result of high winds that sparked the power lines in the dry conditions, and we had some hellacious wildfires, and they're still going on. We also have, you know, acts of terrorism, where recently the Good Samaritan that blew himself up in the Winnebago, but he made sure that he announced it on a PA system. So there's a unit that we have on the fire department that came in, and again, this is all after 9/11 with Homeland Security. It's called the CBRN unit. It specializes in responding to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosive incidents. The fire departments was a nice money grab. We have one on our department, the CBRN. It's a specialized unit that carries monitoring equipment on it. It's part of our hazmat team. In most departments around the country and the world, it's a dedicated unit. Other departments have used it in a way to get other equipment and just throw a name on there. But if you're dealing with anything from the CBRN unit, it should be attached to a hazmat team. Terrorism is any human-caused event. Its intent is to inflict fear and disruption. That's all you really need to know about it. Let's see, I'm really just trying to find things in here, guys, that are really important to you. The National Response Framework. I mean, you guys aren't going to be dealing with this. It's a monitoring. It's more of administrative stuff. National Disaster and Medical System, again, medical response to disasters, movement of patients from a disaster-affected area. A lot of this stuff has nothing to do with you guys. If I see something that I think should be on the test or might be on the test, I'll throw it out there. Community emergency response teams, just so you guys know that within the local fire departments, we have a centralized emergency management team. It's the MAC. So it's a location where you have resources from the county, the city, Henderson, North Las Vegas, FEMA, the school district. It's just a big cauldron of people where if you need to get resources on like New Year's Eve, during the Stanley Cup, when the Raiders are playing. There's actually, they put the MAC up for that. So anytime they have large gatherings, that MAC is put up in case there's an incident. Nothing there. Ooh, hazardous materials responses. All right, so where might we see hazardous materials up at the resort? Any substance, because of its quality, concentration, or physical chemical characteristics, is capable of harming people, property, or the environment. Can be solids, gas, or liquids. Where are we going to find those up on our mountain?
Down in the maintenance shed.
Maintenance shed mostly, and where else?
Restaurant, maybe?
The
Kitchen.
restaurant. Underneath your kitchen sink is probably the biggest hazmat waiting to happen. Between the bleaches that you have underneath there, the soaps, the cleaners, the disinfectants, you really don't realize how much crap you have underneath there that if you mix one thing with another, you could have yourself a little controlled hazardous materials response going on. Hazardous materials fall under the Department of Transportation. They're listed in 9 classes. I would look this over for testing purposes. Of the 9 classes: explosive, gases, flammable liquids, solids, oxidizers, toxic substance, infectious substance. So right now you might see trucks driving around with a class 6 because of what? COVID?
The
Okay. Radioactive substances, corrosive, and miscellaneous. Okay. Just know that this might pop up on the test. There's 9 classes. I would not put you to task of memorizing what each class 1 is as explosives, class 2. Just keep it familiar and fresh in your mind. The placards are on structures. It's a safety diamond. Each area has a specific meaning. Blue is for health. Red is always for flammability. Yellow is always for instability. And white is always specific hazard. And blue is always health. You'll see the red, yellow, and white placards. So as you're driving around town and you're looking at semi-trucks, you'll see placards on the semi-trucks. They have to be in all 3 sides of the vehicle. And just so you know, if you see a red placard and it says 1903 on it, well, the 1903 gives you a specific of what's inside, what's flammable inside it. But because it's red, you know it's flammable, right? If you see a yellow placard on a vehicle, you don't have to know that there's magnesium in there that's it has an instability, or a white special hazard. It might be chlorine powder. You know, but by the color of what's in there and what it possibly will react to. Okay, so that one, no for the test. Again, red's flammability, health hazards are blue, chemical reactivity is yellow, and special precautions are white. Hazmats are managed by the incident ICS, Incident Command System. They'll have a hazmat safety officer. I'm not going to get into all of this, okay? This is the ICS. You're going to have a branch. You're going to have entry teams. You're going to have all kinds of demobilization, decon, entry groups, nothing that you're going to have to know. HAZWOPER, Hazardous Waste Operations and Emergency Response. big acronym for a bunch of words. It's mandated by the federal government, and it's more or less a training that you have to achieve. If you're with the fire department, if you're with FEMA, I don't know if Metro does, if Sam's on, I don't know if those guys, I believe the medics at AMR and Guardian and all that, I believe they have to go through a HAZWOPER. You guys do not have to go through a HAZWOPER. So the one thing that you learn from HAZWOPER in any 4-year degree of going through hazardous material is this. If I can cover it with my thumb, I'm far enough away. That's all you need to know. Oh, and never do this. Doesn't taste too bad, okay? Never do the finger test. In the HAZWOPER course, there's actually some slides of guys in white shirts that are battalion chiefs that actually go up to a rail car, wipe it with their fingers, smell it, and taste it. So if we have a situation down in the maintenance shack or up at the restaurant where we've got a spill of something that's causing people to get sick, what's the first thing we need to do? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Get people
Scene
out of there.
safety.
Exactly, scene safety. So if that means evacuating, isolate, set up a perimeter, okay? That right there becomes the what? What do you think?
Command center.
Hot zone. Okay? So the epicenter of the hazardous material spill or incident is going to be the hot zone. The only people that go into the hot zone are people that are trained and people who have the correct PPE. If you don't have the training and you don't have the PPE, you don't need to be in there. Okay? So start moving back. Establish a perimeter, either you're using, if we have barrier tape, whether it's setting tables, chairs, whatever, we're going to start setting up a perimeter, okay? The hot zone, surrounding the incident, most dangerous and most contaminated. Again, personnel with training and decontamination techniques and PPE, okay? That's what we can set up initially. After that, the responding agency is going to set up everything else. The warm zone, which is going to have a decon corridor, and then a cold zone. Cold zone is more or less for people that don't that might need to ask to help, but not being involved with the incident. Patients that we're going to see are going to be the ones that come into the cold zone. That's any patient that comes into the cold zone has gone through a decon process. Here they're talking about organic phase phosphate poisoning, nerve agents. They're going to go through here and show you. The big thing is the terms dumbbells or sludge. Anybody that's been exposed to a nerve agent, they defecate, they vomit, they have crap. Okay, it's basically they're dissolving from an inside and out, but they can't control their bowels, they can't control their urine system, so they're puking, they're just a hot, gooey mess. So if we have an event where we start to see people getting sick and we see this, we want to start removing ourselves and them as fast as we can. Mark 1 or a duplicate. This is issued to all firefighters on the departments in the valley and the FEMA teams. So when we go out on deployment, we're given these auto ejectors. They're designed to go through your clothing. So the needles are pretty hefty. Mechanism of a nerve agent. Nervous system controls bodily functions. This is where we get that sludge, the secreting various chemical transmitters, which acts as instructors to nerves, muscles, and glands. I don't see us being exposed to too many nerve agents up on the mountain. This is what I talked about, the excessive salivation, tearing, secretions of your airway, respiratory distress, depressed mental status. The only way to cure this, if you don't have the antidote kit, is huge amounts of atropine, which you guys don't ever use. So, not important, not important. Yeah, not important. Terrorism. You guys know what terrorism is, right?
Bad guys.
Bad guys, okay? For
Stupid
us,
bad guys.
they can be pretty smart. First, make the scene safe for as many people as possible and yourself. So for us, we're not dealing with bad guys, right? If we got somebody that decides he wants to do something, we're going to go in the opposite direction and take as many people with us. If you see something, say something. If you feel uncomfortable about something that you make sure you tell somebody else, bring as many people into the freaking conversation of, hey, do you think this looks suspicious? Don't feel stupid about it. So in the event that we have a hostile situation where we've got somebody, this goes back to, unfortunately, we became famous for one thing of October 1st of an active shooter. It also goes back to like Columbine and Sandy Hook and all those things. I've gone through this training, and the situation is going to depend on what you're going to do. Okay. You either run, you hide, and if it's a resort you have to go to, you fight. Because these people have put themselves in a situation where it's their last resort and they don't care. And don't depend on somebody's good graces or morality at that point in time to feel mercy for you, okay? So if you can run, if you hear gunshots, we're not running to them. We're running away from the gunshots. If we hear something, we want to run away. If we feel that there's an active shooter, okay? Hide. Find a place of refuge. Barricade yourself. Make it as hard as possible for anybody to get in, okay? And in the moment, start looking for weapons. Ski poles. In the shacks, we've got shovels. Find something to arm yourself with. A coffee pot, whatever. But if you have to fight, make sure you got something with you to do. I don't really know what more to say about stuff like that. Understand that gunfire might sound artificial, especially up in the mountains. It's kind of muffled. Assume that any popping sound is gunfire. If there's 2 or more persons in the same place, the violent incident begins, you should spread out in the room to avoid offering an easy target. I like that one, huh? Don't group up, spread out. Start pointing fingers at the girl across from you or the guy across from you. You know what? Dean looks like a better target than me. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to do with these, honestly, because it's so out of our realm. Search and rescue. Search, the methodical process of actively gathering information. Rescue, the active process of rescuing somebody from that distress. If it's in red and underlined, know it for the test, just for the terminology. I'm going too fast. Let me know. Again, we talk about avalanche. So we have the avalanche control. We do have the cannon up there that goes when we get storms. Chance, if you want to be up there 4 in the morning to watch them fire it again, is pretty impressive. Also, being known too, if you guys do any kind of skinning and they're up there doing any kind of avalanche clearing, there are the possibilities of unexploded ordnances. So, always be careful when you come across something that you don't recognize. Don't touch it. When we do the avalanche rescue, we do use setup of the ICS. You'll be, hopefully, has anybody started patrolling up yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you get a chance, go over you know what the RICO is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a beacon, take advantage of the beacon park the beacon park trainer that we have up there. It really is, you have some people that are really good at it and some people that, have a hard time with it. If you get good at it, stay good at it because you're invaluable. Okay. It's a gift. It's a skill that, you really need to work at. The rescue dogs have left us with the Frenches. The only people I know that have rescue dogs that would bring them up to us are the FEMA team. We've got several types of dogs on the team. Metro's dogs. Metro's got a few dogs that I think are search dogs, but for most part they're canines. So with the basic functions for avalanche rescue is we start searching the immediate area. So when we're dealing with an avalanche search, what are we looking for? Where do we start as to the immediate area? What are we looking for? What are surface clues? Len,
Articles
what's surface
of clothing.
clues? What's that?
Articles of clothing.
There you go.
holes.
Articles of clothing. We're looking for a yard sale, right? Beanies, goggles, gloves, skis, poles, backpacks, okay? We're looking for that. We find those, you're going to have flags, and you're going to mark those areas. And then you're going to start searching within those areas and then broadening your search up, okay? Provide medical care for the victims so we're going to do it, we might do a triage, or we might just have 1 or 2 victims that we're treating at the time. Medical conditions associated with victims that are buried during an avalanche. Asphyxia is going to be the first one. If you look at any of the guys or any of the videos and stuff where they go back and they talk to these people that have been in avalanches, they tell you how they just remember they can't tell whether they're upside down or right side up. A lot of them talk about it's like being encased in concrete. One of the things that in avalanche school that they talk about is quickly getting your face covered, trying to keep a pocket around your face so that when you're covered, that it's not, you don't have snow being shoved up into your nostrils or down your throat. Trying to create an air pocket of which you land in. The trauma of being hit by the snow and the debris that the snow brings with it. If you've ever gone up after an avalanche, the couple that we've had up on our mountain, up on top of Chair 1, the amount of debris and the logs that are brought down with it were just impressive, and how far it brought that stuff. It jacked up Blackjack and Keno for a while because the guys didn't go up there to clear it out. They just left that crap there. So hypothermia is a big problem with that. Always remember with hypothermia, people are subject to go into cardiac arrest very easily with hypothermia. And always remember with hypothermia, people aren't dead until they're warm and dead. Hypothermia kind of a cocoon for somebody as they're in that hypothermic state. Their cardiac functions have a better chance of recovering. So you want to make sure gradually. For the test purposes, a high angle rescue is anything greater than 45 degrees. Low angle is less than 45. So if how many degrees is that?
90.
90. So then how many degrees is from there to there?
45.
45. Okay. So if you look at something and it fits in between here and it's greater than that, then it's, it's a high angle rescue. If it's less than, it's the low angle. What's that mean for you guys? Something you have to remember on the test. Anybody out there have any rope rescue experience?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I said, very rarely do we have to do anything up there. We do have some ropes that are in the tower rescue bags and some of the avalanche bags. As far as hardware to being able to set up a system, we don't have that. So we're not going to really worry about it. Confined space rescue is anything involved in an enclosed area. There's nothing up there at our area that comes close to a confined space. You guys might remember back a while ago, Mammoth Mountain actually lost a patroller that fell into one of the sulfur vents. That's a confined space. He fell into a sulfur vent. You can't survive in the atmosphere. Someone tried to do a rescue. That person ended up dying too.
Oh, jeez.
If you can't go, if you don't have the training, you don't have the protective equipment, personal protective equipment to facilitate the rescue, don't do the rescue. Does everybody understand that? Again, something for a test. Ranch with dogs, we don't have any. And fire ground operations. Anybody here want to do fire ground operations? As far as I know, we don't have a pumper up on the hill. None of us are going to be fighting any structural firefighting. So if there's nothing marked in red, crew resource CRM, crew resource management. That might be on a test. Other than that, case study, nothing really important. All right, any questions? Any questions? Going once. Kimber, you got any questions? Len, you got any questions?
I have no questions.
Peter, you got any questions?
No, sir.
If nobody has anything, Sam, you got anything to put in?
Yeah, I do have some final closing remarks. So this actually concludes the OEC program. I know we have on the agenda Wednesday to do a review. I actually don't have anything planned for review. So if you guys want your Wednesdays, I say we go ahead and cancel the class on the 6th, as we've now gone through all of the material. However, I do want to follow up on a few things. So we are working to get you guys your CPR certification classes. I need to follow up with my training officer at my company to find out when we can squeeze in the patrol, and I'll be notifying everybody when we put up the CPR classes. Secondly, we discussed in a previous class about the game plan for getting you guys on the hill and skill sign-offs. So what the current plan is starting next week, the volunteers are actually allowed to go back to the resort. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on incorporating some of the candidates in with the volunteers each day. And if you look on the Google Classroom, I believe I have the, what do we call it? The task standards. No, I don't have task standards up. All right. So I'm going to be uploading the task standards to the Google Classroom. And the task standards are the individual skills that you must complete in order to be finalized as a ski patroller by the end of the season or by the end of next season. So we'll be working with you guys to get you guys up on the hill and get you guys through the program. And we're still working on getting a test date set with NSP. We have a couple leads and a couple ways that we're looking to make it happen, but I don't want to promise anything right now. But other than that, I thank everybody for your attendance during this class. And if anybody has any questions, I can take them now. Otherwise, that concludes our OEC program. Or correction, not OEC, our Introduction to Ski Patrol program.
Sam, I have a question.
Absolutely.
You have chapter 17 through 32, I believe, for a quiz. Is there a chapter 1 through 17 for a quiz?
There is a 1 through 16 that should be uploaded in
I
the.
think I got it.
It won't let you open it.
Oh, that could be.
Says you need permission to open it.
Okay. Why can't I just give everybody permission?
Okay.
Let me take a look at it. So yes, there is a 1 through 16 and then a 17 through 32. And I am not quite sure why it's not coming up. Give me one second. Change up on 17 through 32. So 1 through 16. I've got it all assigned to everybody.
I'll try again.
I don't see it up on mine.
It's under the quiz. There's like a test section that I created.
Go to your to-do.
You do.
So as far as the skill days on the mountain, is that weekends only or is that any day?
So the tentative plan is that it will be pretty much any day. So the advantage of the skills or the task standards that we've created is that you are now in control. So we give you that control of when you want to go up. Whereas in the previous syllabus, the way it worked is that you had to go to those classroom days that we set. By giving you the task standards and getting things signed off, you can go up pretty much any day that you want.
Okay, so we just have a checklist that we need to get checked off. Okay.
Correct. Yes, I'm gonna get that uploaded to the classroom, so it will be posted under the course syllabus. Everybody will see that.
Do you want us to make sure and have all the quizzes done before we do all that kind of stuff?
So here's the great thing about OEC, and I don't agree with OEC. However, we are able to use this to our advantage. The OEC class actually does not really have any requirements. The only requirement is that you have to pass the written test and you have to pass the practical test. The written test comes from National Ski Patrol, and the practical test comes from National Ski Patrol as well. So really what we're going to do is we're going to, at the conclusion of this, create a test day where we'll do all the writtens and finals and practicals and everything. As for the quizzes and midterms, those are really there for your reference. Obviously, the more involved you get by taking the quizzes and the tests and reviewing the material, the better prepared you'll be. But if the directive I've received is that no, we're not really, it's not a requirement to have it complete just because it's not the OEC class per NSP, they don't have a day requirement. Like EMT school, you're required to be at 80% of the classes. You're required to, have 80% bookwork across the board. OEC is not like that.
Sam, I have a question
I have an answer.
about your sign-off days.
Yeah.
I hope you did. So, tentatively have you discussed for the instructors to have, like, what I'm trying to say is the candidates or your class here, would it be advantageous to sign up, say, 3 people at a time or something like that to do on one day instead of one mano a mano? Did I make myself clear? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been some discussion of that. I haven't received any directive. As of right now, I think we're going to limit it to 1 or 2 candidates per day. We're working on what that sign-up process looks like. I don't have a good answer. I assume that it would be the way that we currently do patrol sign-ups with the NSP website, but I don't have a good answer for you.
Okay.
But we should be rolling all that out here shortly.
All right. So essentially, maybe your class here, the class may hook up with one other classmate and doing scenarios that may be helpful to learn from each other. Does that sound
Absolutely.
like it might happen like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
Last Wednesday's class, I believe it was chapter 32, 33, maybe. Those slides I'm not seeing on the site. It's something's there. It's an attachment, but it's not like the PowerPoint slides like all the other classes are.
And you said 32, 33?
Let me check real quick. Yeah, 32, 33. It looks like it's like a Word document or something.
You know what? That is totally my fault.
Ah, no big deal.
I may have uploaded the test bank by accident. Oops.
Well, let me download that quick.
those just got deleted very quickly.
Damn it. Missed it. Way to go, Kurt.
You said 32, 33. I am re-uploading those files right now as we speak. What happens is that I get a file from NSP and everything is renamed. Everything is named the same thing, and if you don't pay attention, it's very easy to mess it up. All right, Kurt, go ahead and take a look at the Google Classroom. It should be updated now.
Copy, thanks.
And then also too, while I was talking, I uploaded the task standards. It is under the course syllabus. So you should see the task standards, download those checklists, and those are all the checklists that must be signed off before we'll let you sit for the test. Once again, we don't have that final testing day. We're trying to work with some other patrols to get those final testing days figured out.
All right, Sam, how do we take you up on that offer for medical supplies?
Let me put that on my list. I totally forgot about that. Make a note. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put together a list of supplies. Let me get with my vendor and see what the pricing is. So pretty much what I'm gonna do is I'll price it out, what like a kit would cost, and then I'll get back to everybody. Kind of what my thought is there's a lot of things that we can buy in bulk. For example, like sterile 4x4s, I can buy just a entire brick of it, and then or entire box of it, and then that way, like we can split that amongst the class, and basically like if a box of sterile 4x4s covers 10 patrollers, that cost would be divided amongst the 10 of you. So let me get working on what that would look like.
Appreciate it.
Anything else for anybody?
I have one more question. So can, if we're, just because I'm just super busy, but if we don't find the time to like completely do all of these things at this time, does this kind of roll over into next year too, or how does that work?
Absolutely. So the intention of the program itself is, we're kind of moving to this self-paced program. And so that's, really what we're trying to move this OEC program to. This is the first year that we've actually done this kind of self-paced program. In years past, it was, you attended in classroom sessions for 4 hours a night, where, we did skill-based learning, we did everything. And really, unless you joined Ski Patrol at the right time, there was no way to get you caught up. So what we're moving towards is this self-paced learning, to where if anybody wants to become a patroller, you're able to really join any time of year. So, whether you want to join mid-season, end of season, off season, beginning of season, we give the people, we give everybody this online module. And then once you're done, we then incorporate you into on the hill based training, and then work towards getting you through those final sign-offs through National Ski Patrol when we're allowed to have those tests again. So to simply answer your question, yeah, if, let's say next season comes around and, you haven't completed all the checklists, it might be something that, we work with you in the off season. And then we end up having another test set for beginning of season, mid-season. We're not quite there yet with those final details, but, the intention of this program is to be self-paced.
Okay, thank you. Because I didn't get my book until, later. So I kind of felt like I kind of got a late start on reading.
And I'm hoping with the Google Classroom and everything that was able, to kind of make up for a lot of that,
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I kind of joined halfway through and expecting my first child in a couple months. So going to be, really busy.
Getting worse.
First of all, congratulations, Martin. But yeah, secondly, I mean, especially too with this year, with COVID, with everything going on, we're still trying to figure out exactly how the volunteers are going to be incorporated into the patrol. It's my understanding that volunteers get to come back starting next week after the winter break. But we're still, what does that look like? Last I heard, it's limited to 2 patrollers a day. I'm trying to get it to where we can have at least 2 candidates per day. But there's a lot that's kind of up in the air right now that we're still just trying to figure out.
Can we come up and get our credentials, Sam?
That's beyond my pay grade.
No, have you heard? I reached out to Patty and asked her, can we just come up and get our credentials, and if we can't patrol, can we ski?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, that's beyond my pay grade.
Hey, I got another question for you, Sam. Is this class going to continue to communicate on Google Classroom? Say if I want to put out, hey, I'm going to be up there, I'd like to go over scenarios and check you guys off on the 12th of this month or something like that. Is there a chat room for this class?
I don't think we have a chat function.
Do Classroom work like that? Can you guys?
Yeah, I don't have a class, or I don't have a chat function necessarily.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Hang on, let me.
You can actually write on there. Anybody can, if you have it turned on to do that.
You know what? So if you actually go to the stream, on the stream, you can actually announce something. Anybody can. So when you're logged into Google Classroom, you'll see stream classwork people. if you go to stream, yeah, you can go ahead and post there and have a chat going on there.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so that would be a great way to communicate. Yeah, Martha, if you're going to be up there and want to run scenarios with people or start, hitting those task standards, make sure that, Martha, you take a look at those task standards as well, so you know exactly what tasks and what skills we want people to sign off on. Another thought, as we progress to the task standards, I'll probably also, for some of our trainings at Guardian, probably letting some of you guys attend those, because those will achieve some of those task standards. But I got to talk with my training officer regarding that.
So will we stay connected through Google Classroom then? You're going to keep it open?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
The intention of the Google Classroom is that self-paced learning. So we really built everything out.
Okay.
So, come fall of next year, like, we have the entire classroom built out, and I don't, it looks like next year we probably won't be doing weekly Zoom meetings because they're all pre-recorded, and you basically attend the recorded meeting and post your questions to the stream, or post your questions to the appropriate section of questions.
We're the guinea pigs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys were the guinea pigs with this, and I think that we necessity is the mother, or was it necessity is the
Exactly. Mother of invention.
mother of invention. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So we were kind of pushed into this way, but the feedback I've gotten, at least from the higher ups on my end, they really like this, just because it takes so much off of us. One of the things with teaching OEC, during the fall, is it's a huge time commitment, and I feel like this took away some of that time commitment and made it much easier. For example, to do an OEC class, I mean, yeah, we would host it at Guardian for 3 hours a night, but you got the hour of travel there and an hour travel, to wherever you're going. I mean, really a 3-hour class turns into a 5 or 6 hour class depending on where you live, and so that's a huge time commitment. Whereas I feel like with this, a 3-hour time commitment truly was a 3-hour time commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving forward, I think this format is going to help a lot.
Yeah. And then as we work through the task standards, that's something that's going to be new to us. The great thing is that our patrol director, Mike, it's a system that he's familiar with because of the Forest Service. The Forest Service has a very similar system. So he gets what we're trying to achieve by giving you guys a checklist and putting it in your own hands. So then I'm also thinking too about.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
In order to, so when you're gonna have a better idea.
I'm sorry, say again.
How many candidates you can host, per day? Can you hear me?
Yeah. So we're still trying to work through that with senior management. I'm being told 1 to 2 initially for on the hill training. I'm looking at potentially hosting some trainings at Guardian or at my office, and I'll post those in the Google Classroom. There's gonna be some specific things that we're gonna have to do in town, like specifically CPR training. We're gonna have to do like how to deliver a kid. The ski resort does not have an OB mannequin, whereas I have all that at my work. So we'll be able to cover a lot of those trainings. But things like splinting, things like backboarding, those are all gonna be covered on the hill. So really, it's up to individuals to get their tasks done, and as to how many people can be up to get tasks done. Right now, we're still trying to work through that, but we're planning on 1 to 2.
Okay. Do you think it's possible to, when you're gonna know, and you have the number of the candidates, to put like a schedule on Google Classroom, so
Yeah,
that we can schedule ahead of time,
Yeah,
who's
we'll
gonna
have
be
all
that day.
posted. Yeah, we'll have all that posted. We do have another scheduling platform that we use on the patrol.
Okay.
Sorry. Work radio going off.
Right, so we're good?
We are good. Is there anything that you guys need from me?
Thank you for everything.
No, thank you guys for, for
Thank you, Rizzo.
You're
Much
welcome.
appreciated, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Sam. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you.
You guys.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you
See ya
guys.
on the mountain.